This is the Libertarian Dilettante, and welcome to episode 5 of my Airline Club Let's Play. So in the last episode, we reorganized our airline and moved it from Istanbul to London Heathrow. And now we have emerged from that chrysalis as a beautiful British butterfly, ready to take flight. So I opened 4 routes, and they're all doing very well. If we take a look, they're all at 100%. And I now have 7 new slots at London Heathrow. So I'm going to go ahead and use those. I've already taken a look at the flight map, as I like to do, and found some promising cities. The largest and most promising of which is Krakow in Poland. Nearly 2 million people, a tourism bonus. So I'm going to plan a flight here. Oh, right, I have to export that flight map. No, I shouldn't have to do that. Once in a while, it's a little tricky, so I'll probably put a cut in here until I've resolved that issue. Okay, so I just opened the game in a new tab and closed the old tab out. And now I can see that I have about 1,000 direct demand, and I can reach this city with my Embraer 120. So I'm going to go ahead, and I only have 1 flight available on the only plane I have left. So I'm going to purchase a new plane. And I'll just use that one. I'll go ahead and use all 5 slots and create that route. So now I only have two slots left in London. So I can only create at most 1 more route, and I still have some money available. Speaking of money, when I turn to my routes, I'm not prioritizing making money on these. Instead, I dropped my prices and I increased my service quality a bit in order to make sure that I would be getting slots in London fairly quickly and that I would fill up these planes. And I've done both of those things now. If we take a look at the Office tab, our profits are fairly stable. Well, they're very stable, in fact. Somewhat modest still, but I'm going to focus now on growing my profits. So I'm going to come back to these routes and increase the prices based on how much I think I can get away with. So here we have 385 direct demand, capacity of 150. I'm going to first reset it to the default price as a reference point, and that's a fair bit higher. I don't want to be too aggressive, but I'm pretty confident that I can increase it above that at least. So I'll go ahead and give it one more increase. Looking here, it's just about the same situation. So here's the default plus 5%. That'll do. Valencia. Here we have quite a bit more direct demand. So I'm going to take a look at the default price. We had gone down 2 notches. I'm going to go ahead and go up 2 notches for this, just because I'm quite confident that I'm going to be able to fill the plane anyway, given the enormous disparity between the direct demand, and I'm still the only one offering any flights at all. And our flight to Italy, again, check the default price. It looks like we only decreased it by 1, but there's 900 direct demand here. So I'm going to go ahead and take it up 2 notches as well. Honestly, I'm pretty sure I can go higher still, but I don't want to take any risks right now as far as that goes. Oh, the other thing I could do is come back and decrease my service quality, but I feel like I'm probably not spending all that much money yet on that. Let's see if I can find out. I think that's all covered under flight supplies. 38,000. That's a pretty big percentage of my total profit. Okay. I'm going to also cut the service back on all of these. And this is part of a strategy. I'm shifting focus now. I don't necessarily need to maximize slots in London Heathrow because I have a plan for those last 2 slots that I left available. And that is, as you may have guessed, to fly to Naples. Now here I still have some awareness and some loyalty left over from when I was flying out of Istanbul. I'll go ahead and plan this flight. It is going to cost me $600,000, but even after that, I still have room for at least another Embraer 120 and routes out of Naples, and even forming a base there. So, see if I can do it. No, I still only have 1 flight there. Okay, so 2 flights a week. I'll be increasing that later, but for now I just need to establish the route itself. And again, the reason I'm so fond of Naples is because of this airport scale 3, so that over time as I need to upgrade the airport, I have at least 1 airport available that I can upgrade very cheaply, because that depends on the airport scale, and it still has really good population coverage and a little bit of a tourism bonus. So I don't see any downside at all. All right, I'm going to go ahead and create this flight. And now, because my reputation has reached 20, I believe I can build a base, and I can. I still have enough money. It does cost me almost $4 million, but you know, I'm actually not sure if this is entirely necessary, because if I just wait a while, I'll get more slots in London. But I think it's just more fun to open this base. So that's what I'm going to do. And it's the impatient thing to do, and I'm feeling impatient. So I'll view the airport, I'll build the base, and we now have our first hub, which is shown in green, with 8 slots available. So not really all that impressive. Nevertheless, we can start taking advantage of that right away. I'm going to change the flight map so that I'm now looking at what's available out of Naples. Again, that Embraer 120 is really the plane to be using because if I leave any money left over at all, I only have about the $8 million that plane costs. I certainly can't buy the next one up that I'm looking at, which is $15 million. So I'll just take a little time to look around because I haven't done that yet, and I'll get back to you when I've found a city I want to fly to. Okay, so having taken a look around out of Naples, I'm a little surprised that there's not more direct demand between some of these cities. Just to give you an example, Riga is over 1 million people, and when I plan a flight, I see fewer than 100 for direct demand. Now that's not necessarily, it's probably in part because, where am I looking at? Latvia has a somewhat lower average income, but not by an enormous amount. Anyway, Europe might not be quite the Garden of Eden that I had imagined, but there's certainly going to be plenty of opportunity for profit here. And Warsaw is the best city that I saw initially. It's certainly good enough to fly to. Nearly 700 direct demand. One thing you can do if you're looking and you know you have a particular plane in mind is to buy the plane first, because once it's available, it will show as the default if you're searching. So here, I'll just demonstrate that really quickly. If I'm looking at Riga and I plan a flight, it suggests the cheapest plane that's capable of making that flight if I don't have one already that can make it. So sometimes it's helpful to just be able to see at a glance if my Embraer 120 can make that flight. So I'm going to make sure I get the right plane. Oh, I'm still looking at Riga. That won't do. Warsaw Chopin. Plan flight. Here it is. Okay, so now I have this plane selected. I can come down here and just purchase it, double check that I'm buying the correct plane. I want it based out of Naples. Everything looks good. So I make that purchase. I need $400,000 to establish this route. That's fine. Now, I have 8 slots here, so I might just go 4 and 4. No, I'm going to go 5 because there's so much direct demand here. And maybe I'll leave it at the default price just because it's a brand new route and I don't fly to Warsaw at all yet. On the other hand, I have more than 4 times the demand at least, so I think I'll be just fine. And the other city I saw that is going to work for now is here, 700,000. So that seems like quite a bit. I'll go ahead and plan the flight. It's still only 114, which is a little concerning to me, just because I would think that connecting a city of 3 million with a city of 700,000 ought to yield more than that, especially because they're both allied. Now wait a minute. Mutual relationship neutral. Why is that? Aren't they both members of the EU? I'm pretty sure they are. Yeah, they must be. I know Italy is, and I'm about 95% certain Denmark is as well. So I had thought that all of the EU countries were allies, but maybe that's the source of the problem here. In any case, maybe I'll keep looking just a little bit longer because that's really not all that much demand. Okay, well, I've decided that I am going to fly to Denmark, but Copenhagen is actually wide open. So I will take that instead. I can only fly 3 flights a week for now. It's not quite as good as Warsaw. And the mutual relationship, I guess it would be the same since it's the same country. And I'm pretty sure this refers to the relationship between Italy and Denmark, regardless of where my headquarters is. So again, I'll just leave this at the default price for now. Go ahead and create that route. It is costing me $650,000. So I'm definitely eating up my cash. However, I think for a while now, I'll be able to, as I get more slots in London, I don't need to open new routes. I can just add flights, and I'm sure I'll find some cheaper flights out of Naples. I chose the largest ones possible to get things started, or at least the largest ones I found fairly quickly. But I can also fly to smaller cities, and that'll be fine. Another source of slight disappointment from Naples is I was looking to see if I could start any routes that don't count as intercontinental, but that go to Africa. So for that I need to be within 1,000 kilometers. And Tunis works for that, although other people are also flying that. 46 direct demand. There's a huge amount of capacity there, so I probably won't be doing that anytime soon. Libya is a bit problematic because they don't want me flying there. They don't get along with the United Kingdom, apparently, and so they just flat out won't let me fly there. And then Algeria will let me fly here, but Algiers, the capital and the largest city, is just out of range of that 1,000 kilometer limit. So it counts as an intercontinental route, and there's no way I'm going to use one of my intercontinental routes on something that's only about 1,000 kilometers. So the upshot of all of that is maybe I'll end up flying to one of these minor airports in this area that I can reach. But there's nothing particularly exciting that I can do in North Africa. All right, so I've used up all of my slots in Naples. I've used up all of my slots in London. And that's about all I can do for right now. One thing I guess I need to check on is I was a little hasty in dealing with this route. I didn't check it for competition. So we can see there is competition. There's a very large amount of direct demand. And it's not really much higher than the direct demand. I think twice as much would be fairly safe, and we're not yet at twice as much. Comparing prices, there are a few sort of lower cost options for people, but I'm coming in at even less than that. The service quality could be an issue. I'm quite a bit lower in terms of service quality. So on this route, I'm going to go ahead and increase the service quality. I could cut the price even further. I guess I'll go ahead and do that too, because I want to get this route established. Although now that I think about it, I already had some awareness in Naples, but not very much. So, and I'm making enough money on my other routes. I'll go ahead and cut that price. What I really need to do though is increase the number of flights. So I'm going to need more slots at both of these airports to do that. And over time, that will just happen naturally. The other thing I can do to increase my number of slots is to increase my service level. I'm currently working towards 10. I'm getting kind of close to that. I will go ahead and increase it to 13, let's say. And that should be high enough that I'll continuously increase my service level. And that's still costing me so little that it's negligible. All right, that pretty much wraps up this episode. So I hope you've enjoyed it, and I'll see you next time.